All right, former United States Ambassador to NATO and Special Representative for Ukraine negotiations, Kurt Volker, joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Kurt Volker, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Hope you're well.
Good to see you. So you used to give us these briefings in the State Department when you would talk about how things were going and negotiations over the Minsk agreements. And, you know, there was never any movement. That must have been an absolutely frustrating task. But back then, years ago, 2017, 2018, could you ever have envisioned this, that Putin would take the chance to full-on invade Ukraine?
No, I did not imagine this at all. I thought that he could escalate the war in Donbass in the east. That was quite possible. He might try to take more territory or escalate the level of violence. But a full-scale military invasion of Ukraine, trying to decapitate the government, take over the entire country, bombardment of major cities, unimaginable, inhuman and unimaginable.
So, you know, you can fully understand why European countries, the U.S. and others, don't want to get too embroiled in this militarily, given the threat of all-out war, given the real threat now of a nuclear element to this. But what will be the loss? If Ukraine is lost, what then becomes the threat to the West and to the U.S.?
That is exactly the issue here, is that, first off, what we're seeing here are crimes against humanity, the likes of which we haven't seen since Nazi Germany. And we told ourselves after that, never again. And here we are seeing it again. Secondly, if Putin is allowed to take over Ukraine, it'll create a massive insurgency and continued violence and bloodshed and a continued suffering of the Ukrainian people. And thirdly, if he subdues Ukraine, he won't stop there. Just like Hitler, he intends to take more territory. Putin is intending to reconstitute a Russian empire on the territory of the former Soviet Union. And so he'll be looking at Moldova, he'll be looking at Georgia, and he will probably call for demilitarization, if not absorption of the Baltic states again. These are tremendous, tremendous risks that will implicate the United States and NATO, including Turkey. We were going to have to face up to Putin at some point. It's best we do it now and stop him in Ukraine.
So on a slightly more personal level, when you're looking at this, are there things that you wish you would have pushed for, or you wish that whatever administration would have done years ago? I mean, nobody knows if it would have made any difference, of course, but when you look at this, do you think, yeah, there's something more we could have done?
Well, in fact, I and many others did push for a lot of things, both during the Trump administration and during the Biden administration. We should have appointed a new ambassador in short order. We got Bill Taylor out there for 6 months in the Trump administration, which was helpful, but we didn't get a new nominated and confirmed ambassador. The Biden administration never appointed someone to replace me as a special representative. We pushed in the Trump administration for increasing our security assistance. We got it up to $450 million eventually, but we didn't go higher than that. The Biden administration now has increased this. It's up to $1 billion. But clearly we're late. We should have done much more earlier on. I was also pushing for air defense equipment at the time, back in 2017 and 2018, because there was no air war. It would be easy to do then, not controversial. Now we find ourselves in the situation where we are worried about giving them air defense equipment if it, in fact, then leads to a wider conflict. We should have done this some time ago.
Got it. Okay, so what do you think should be done next?
Everything we can possibly do to support the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military so that Ukraine survives. It would be an unimaginable loss for Putin to wipe out Ukraine. So that would include a no-fly zone to protect civilians, humanitarian in nature, not designed to attack ground targets or aircraft, only if fired upon or only if they fire upon Ukrainian civilians from the no-fly zone. That's the only circumstance we would engage, but we try to create a safe space. We need to provide the MiG-29 aircraft that some NATO allies have and are willing to transfer. We should be providing US A-10 aircraft, ground attack aircraft, that some Ukrainian pilots have trained on in order for them to go after some of the ground forces more effectively.
But Kurt, aren't you worried about the U.S. and others being then fully at war with Russia in a military sense, and that this would be World War III?
Well, it should not be World War III. This is a Russian war against Ukraine. And Russia, I believe, is having a hard time militarily already. The last thing they want is to drag the US and other NATO allies into the fight. So we should be supplying the Ukrainians, protecting the Ukrainians, but they're the ones that are going to do the fighting in their own territory. No one's talking about attacking Russia or attacking Russian forces directly. This is all about protecting Ukrainian lives and letting the Ukrainians do the fighting because they have the will to do so. They just need more support and equipment.
All right, Kurt Volker, good to have your voice in this. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.